And in his 13th season as color commentator for Seahawks Radio TV, Pro Football Hall of Famer Warren Moon rejoins the Rich Eisen Show back on the program once again. How you doing, Warren?
I am doing great, Rich. How you doing today?
I am doing just fine. Thank you for joining me. Is this just this? Just the same Seahawks team that we should have come to know and expect and appreciate and love for most of us? There's a lot of Seahawk haters that might be out there because of how much they get hit in the mouth by them. Is it basically the same thing with the running back position being more fluid than before?
Well, it is the same football team. The same core group is in place. You know, Russell Wilson at quarterback. You got the Legion of Boom back there. You got Michael Bennett up front, Bobby Wagner at the linebacker. So guys that have been around for a long time, that have been kind of on this run that they've been on for the last 4 or 5 years. But the running back position will be a little different this year because no Marshawn Lynch on the football team because of his retirement. Thomas Rawls was the guy that kind of took over last year, but he got hurt, broke his ankle, but now he's back, coming back to practice today. But they have a lot of young, talented running backs, one by the name of Alex Collins from Arkansas. He's a young running back that's really shown a lot of promise. C.J. Prosise, the guy from Notre Dame, who's kind of been nagged by injury with a hamstring. They have a lot of hope for him. So and they also have Tristan Michael, who took over last year when Thomas Rawls got hurt. So a lot of young talent at that line at the running back spot.
And then they wrapped up Doug Baldwin to a nice long-term deal, so he's a happy guy. The only question, I guess, that a question mark on offense other than the running back is how is Jimmy Graham going to fit in better than clearly he was not fitting in before he got hurt and went down last year, Warren?
You know, Rich, he was just starting to turn the corner when that offense was taking off at the halfway point of the season. He was our leading receiver last year when he got hurt. A lot of people don't realize that. He had 51 catches when he got hurt, but unfortunately, he had the patella injury, but he's pretty much back. They can bring him back at any time now. They're just kind of taking their time with that injury because they want to make sure he's 100% healthy, doesn't beat it up too much in training camp. And I really think they've figured out how they want to use him in this offense and how he can be most productive without really trying to force him the football. He's not going to be a guy that catches the ball 90 times like he did in New Orleans, not in this offense because we don't throw it like that. But if he's somewhere in the 60 to 70 range, that's going to be a really good season for him in our offense, the way they spread the ball around.
Well, Warren Moon joining me here on the show. The numbers might show that Graham was productive, but, at the time, there's no doubt that there was a struggle in terms of Russell Wilson being protected, and anytime that Graham was out there, it was essentially indicating to the free world that they weren't running the football. And then something clicked in the second half of the season where Wilson was getting the protection he needed, or was it him finding his receivers in a much more efficient fashion? What happened in the second half of the season last year, Warren?
It was a combination of both. Our offensive line finally came together. The injuries that we had up front, Russell Okung, guys like that, were back in the lineup. We got our center situation straightened out where we had used 4 different centers last year. So once we figured that out, the whole offensive line seemed to gel better. And Russell Wilson went to a more of a quicker passing attack where he's getting the ball out of his hands quicker. So the combination of the two really made our offense take off. And we ended up the number 4 offense in the National Football League. So we were very productive running the football and throwing the ball. And if we can pick up where we left off last year, this could be a very prolific offense this year.
So let's just brass tacks it then, Warren, because we talk Super Bowls for Seattle now. It's not just will they make the playoffs. What are they going to do in a division where obviously Arizona is a stout opponent for the entire conference, not just the division. What do you have for me in terms of looking at this team, seeing what we've seen from it before, what you see from it now, and their chances in 2016?
The thing I'm really encouraged about, Rich, the way this team came back, their attitude. Everybody was just really focused, enthusiastic, and hungry again to want to get back to that Super Bowl. They didn't like how the season ended in Carolina last year. They didn't like how everything started last year with all the controversy with Cam Chancellor holding out for the first 3 games. He was a big leader on this team. The Russell Wilson contract went right up until the day of training camp. Marshawn Lynch had his problems. So there was a lot going on in this team. Plus, there was a hangover from the Super Bowl, the way they ended the season the year before. You don't have that coming into this season. This team is everybody's in. They're all focused and on the same page. And because of the talent that they brought in this offseason with the draft and also free agency to go along with the core group guys that are already here, this team has a really good shot of going a long way in the playoffs.
And how about Russell Wilson? Now he's a married man, so he's got all his contracts taken care of, I guess.
I hope he has all of his contracts taken care of. But I tell you what, Russ, Rich, excuse me, I didn't see a guy more sharper than he was this offseason as far as throwing the football, getting it in and out of his hands, the rhythm that he played with. He really, really looked sharp this offseason. So we'll have to see if that carries over. But this guy has really worked his tail off, even though he had a lot going on this offseason. And he has a great rapport and chemistry with his receivers right now. So I really think he's off to have maybe an MVP-type season as well.
Who do you think had the best speech this weekend, Warren, in Canton? What'd you like?
Brett's was very, very good. A little bit long, but very good as far as the substance that was involved. And Eddie DiBartolo was great. I thought all the guys' speeches were really good for their personalities, if you know each guy. But I thought those two kind of stood out a little bit. And it was a really good weekend, except for the black guy with the game not being played.
Yeah, I know. But I guess two more questions for you. I know you do have to run. Why did all the Pro Football Hall of Famers stand when Eddie DiBartolo said that there needs to be more of a family environment in the NFL dealing with players and vice versa? Warren?
Because they can all relate to that, and you'd love to have an owner that kind of creates that type of atmosphere. There's always been that relationship between players and management that is them against us sometimes, and you don't want to have that because this whole thing is a family. And in order for you to be successful, everybody has to be on the same page, and everybody has to not so much get along, but at least respect one another and feel like we're all in this together. And I think Eddie kind of created that in San Francisco, and that's one of the reasons why they were so successful for so long.
And what do you think of Tim Tebow trying baseball for all the scouts? What do you think of that, Warren?
More power to him. It's going to be very difficult because there's guys that have played that game all their lives and they can't break in and play baseball. But if anybody can do it, I think he'd be the one to do it because of his work ethic, and he's a great athlete, and he'll give it everything he's got. But it's going to be a long road.
Did you ever play baseball?
I did. It was probably my best sport, but a little bit too slow for me.
Are you serious? So did you throw a tight spiral on the baseball as well, like the most beautiful baseball tight curveball or something like that, Warren?
I'll put it this way. I had a really good arm. I didn't want to pitch because I didn't want to mess up my arm for football, but I had a really good arm playing the outfield and also playing shortstop.
I bet. Warren, thanks for the time. Appreciate it, as always.
All right, Rich. Great talking to you, my man.
Always. At WMoon1, Warren Moon, Hall of Famer.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.